Hey everybody, I'm Kathy Hester. Welcome to my kitchen. It's the morning. I would like some coffee. How about you? Let's make the easiest lavender coffee syrup ever. This is my super secret favorite way to do it. So all you need is some hot water, like boiling. I boiled this. This is my little tea kettle. I'm going to use some vegan sugar. You could also use coconut sugar. This is cane sugar. You could do it a different way to infuse it into maple syrup, date syrup, coconut nectar, things like that. This one is going to really work with a dissolvable sugar. So what you do not want to use is date sugar, because date sugar isn't going to dissolve, so it'll just be crunchy. So let's get started. So this is culinary lavender, which just means it's lavender that hasn't been sprayed with any weird pesticides or anything like that. This is my little oxo salad dressing thing. This is where I usually make my syrups. And I'm going to put anywhere between a half a cup and a cup of sugar in here. And it's really going to depend on the size of your container that you're using right then. You want it to be about half and half. If you're doing this on the stove, you can go more than half and half. But if we're doing this cheater method, it doesn't work the same. So then we're just going to pour in our really hot water. You can kind of see the steam, I think. We don't want to go too high because we're actually going to be putting a tea strainer in there in a minute. So a tea strainer that has these little arms are super helpful. So you can see, you're like, lady, your stuff didn't dissolve. We're just going to take a spoon and stir it until it dissolves. And then all we're going to do is steep this lavender like it's tea. So it's really super, super simple. And I just have to stir a little bit more. I'm going to put a little bit more water in. The goal is to get as much syrup as you can without overflowing once you put the lavender in. And see how that's pretty clear? It's not perfect, but most of the sugar has dissolved. And that's why you want to use cane sugar or coconut sugar in this particular recipe. So there are other ways you can make more whole food plant-based syrups, but this is not one of them. Now that that's all nice and clear, I'm going to take about a tablespoon of this lavender, put it in this, and we're just going to settle it in. And then I'm going to take that same spoon and I'm just going to make sure that the lavender gets put under the water. Okay, so that's kind of what it looks like. If you see there's a little extra room for water, which there is this time, I have overfilled this before. We can go ahead and put in a little bit more water, so that we're making the most syrup that we can at one time. So now all we have to do is let it steep. So just like a tea or an herbal tea, we're gonna let it steep for about 10 minutes. You can also, if you wanna have a stronger lavender flavor, so you use less sugar per coffee or tea, what you can do is add 2 tablespoons of lavender. You can make it super lavender heavy. But I found because I think this is about a cup and a half container, a tablespoon of lavender is quite a lot for that, and it works really well. So let's see what happens when it's ready. Okay, so the timer went off, and this is still a little warm, so if I wasn't making this video, I would leave it in until it's all the way cooled, or much like I will probably do today, I'll take this out, get some syrup for my coffee, and put it back in. So you want to pull up your tea strainer. You can see some is drizzling out. We just want to get as much of that out as we can, mostly because it's syrup and it's going to be really sticky. So then I'm going to carefully put the lid on. One of the reasons I really like this container is that it seals really well and I can shake it. And I still managed to drizzle some syrup down the side. So here we go. okay? And you can just hold it, shake it up really good, and you've got lavender syrup. A giant bag of lavender usually is somewhere between $15 to $20, and if you went out and bought a container of lavender syrup, it's usually around $9 or $10. So, and you can use that lavender probably for more than a year, like even if you use lavender a lot. So it's very inexpensive. So, but that's all there is to it. Water, sugar, vegan sugar. I get my vegan sugar from Aldi's. It's inexpensive and it's nice and it's easy. Now we're gonna make my favorite spring lavender latte, which is delicious. So I have some homemade soy milk that I made yesterday in the Miomat. I have some cold brew coffee I made in my AeroPress, the lavender syrup that you saw me make, the quick one, and a cute mug from Gideon's. Where's my shirts from there too? I love their artwork. So it's just super fun. There's little happy bats and a gargoyle. You gotta take fun where you can get it, people. And I love my Halloween stuff all year long. I also have a little frother, and I do have the Vitamix Air, and you guys don't judge. I like my lattes milky, milky, milky. So I'm gonna put probably about half soy milk. Probably gonna put about 1 to 2 teaspoons of the syrup in there. And then we're gonna froth it. And this mixes up the syrup into the milk too. And we're gonna do a frothing series, I think, soon. And I will tell you, soy milk makes the nicest, tightest froth of all. See how nice that foam is? It's really nice. Now we're just gonna add some coffee. I'm gonna put just a little bit. And I may not have much room for ice until I drink some. I'm gonna go ahead and use this just to mix it in, since I have to wash it anyhow. And I have filled this very, very, very full. Doesn't it look nice and frothy? It's super awesome. Okay, so nice, nice and frothy. It's really, really good. And I taste it to see if it needs a little more syrup, a little more coffee, how I feel about it. And honestly, today I think it could use just a wee bit more coffee. So I'm gonna put a little more coffee, and I think I'm gonna put a little more lavender. Make this a little more of an intense coffee than I normally have. Roll it up. Then I'm also gonna drink some of it so I can add my ice. Because it's not an iced latte without ice. It's perfect. So you can make any kind of latte you want. You could use a different syrup. You could use a tea. We could make a London Fog by brewing Earl Grey or lavender Earl Grey, adding a little vanilla syrup and doing the same thing. It's awesome. So cheers to warm weather and cool drinks.